Let me share what I think is quite interesting. When I talk about Samadhi and I mention about the layers, you go deeper into Samadhi, then you hit the situation, I call it the state of absolute being. That's basically non-duality. It's just everything as it is. And what I say is that that's where the law of nature is manifesting and keep us alive and keep the whole universe to be as it is. I don't know if I made this clear, but once we have that state, which I sense I go there quite often, and the beginning of that experience of being in that absolute state of being or non-duality, non-dualistic state, is again away from the mind. Mind is duality. Me and you, right, wrong, beautiful, ugly, all is comparing. And what Samadhi does is let this slow down, no mind, no self. You may get to this absolute state of being when your mind is purely empty, but it may be in such a level that any disturbances, perturbation, would trigger all the mind movement. So you may be as if at the absolute state of being, you are so jittery. So it's just a wave functioning at the shallow level of your samadhi. As you go deeper, it takes time to get to the mind perturbation to be catching you, meaning that ego is functioning already. Right and wrong and desirable, not desirable, I want to run away, all of that happens. But like I said, this is just the perturbation, the waves movement in the mind. But deeper in samadhi, this becomes less, to real no mind, empty mind, nothingness. And that's when I say you are at the state of absolute being, but also when the energy level is pouring, fountain of energy, liveliness comes out. That's the moment of awakening I had. And I didn't know what happened because its mind cannot assess what that is. Mind can only play with the reasoning, but what happened is just absolute state. And that there's a term called Ge-datsu. Ge is melting, datsu is like a throwing away. So all the mind stuff is thrown away. The other expression is if there's a pail, the bucket, and there's a bottom, the bottom falls off. So nothing left. And the nothing left in terms of the barrier, therefore the awakening is explosion. The energy is ready to move wherever the nature wants, because before that was suppression of the awakening to be had. But the mind is caught up all the, like you call Gordian knot, all the crazy knotting stuff and busy and suffering and figuring out how to get out without accessing the nature's way to take over. It's the heart. You have to you cannot have the nature's way to come get you, because nature's way is just as it is. They don't do anything. So you have to let go of mind play. So no mind and no ego. And then you hit to that absolute state of being. And then you have this blissful sensation, because the body's cells are happy to not to be suppressed, confused, but rather to be following the nature's way of the miracle. It's playing the role. So you get very healthy. Yeah, that's one thing. But healthy in the sense of self-organizing as it could, it meaning the body, or the cells of the body, all over. There may be some kind of a, bottlenecks or the bondage or blockages, but it is throwing out. And so that's like a bingo, aha, the major aha moment, which I had 25 years ago. So when you get to this level of the deeper level of the Samadhi, things are happening. Just like a dream would make you to process something when you are not using your mind, but the mind itself is resolving by sharing the image as it dissipates energy while you're resting, because you're not keep adding things to think, but let the thinking to take place on its own. So that's the sleeping state at the different level of the beta and alpha wavelength. The shorter one is the jittery, and the longer one is calm. And you have a very good sleep. But you can do that when you are awake, so that your sleep, mind is sleep, sort of. No mind. And that's the training. You don't train it, because training is effort, that is ego. So you don't train it, you just let that be. So that's the acceptance, and that's the letting go. And that's the point of Namo Amida-butsu, to let the Amida to take over, or the Jesus Christ, whatever the case may be. I call it the law of nature to take care of you as it does, except because of the added function of the mind and the brain and the frontal lobe is guiding this and that. It just keep it busy up here, and the brain gets bigger and bigger, and not coming a good connection to the heart and the body. So it's kind of lopsided, but it has on its benefit to live utilizing additional tools that we developed over time as a part of the evolution. But this tool bring out the two-edged sword discussion, that it helps to live better, but it can torture you in suffering. So that's why we want to use the brain and listen to your heart. That's what I said in the book, Results from the Heart. And listening, because they don't take care of you. They just do the job as they should, nature's way. By settling the mind, get into the Samadhi, would make you so peaceful. And then open up. This is a picture I shared every now and then. The bird in the cage. The cage door is open. So the opening up of the heart makes it barrier to be gone gradually or suddenly, and the Ge-datsu is falling off the body. Mind and body falls off, and the Ge-datsu is resolving, and Datsu is thrown out. so that you get to the state flipping. The pressure is gone, it's the explosion happens. That's awakening, but that's one level, very deep level. At a little higher level, it's like explosion of aha, big aha, maybe. Even the scientific discovery or invention or skiing and surfing, catching fish, something happens and you just know that everything is aligned, that you can get these things done. So you feel whole energy is processed in that moment. So you are master of that area, but not the living as a whole. So there's a gap between, like a Picasso is the master of the painting, and painting is stronger than he. So he is gone, ego is gone, but the painting does the job as if from nowhere. And the invention and all that idea is very much like that. So that's the certain level of the Samadhi. And deeper is that nirvana, bliss, liveliness level. So I've been talking about it, and I've been writing something on the side which I can share more about the Meister Eckhart and Hegel, art and Zen and art, archery and other stuff, which I shared. But this video is just to put the whole idea together. And I think I did okay, because I haven't explained it this way. It's a dynamic process of maneuvering, navigating who you are, depending upon the level of your, if you can monitor the level of samadhi. At the normal level, when I do this work and so forth, that's just logical thing. It's just mechanical on the computer and play. And we have to spend some time like that, but we don't have to spend every single time that we have using the brain. The robot can do that. That's why I said AI should do much of it, and the human need to be more into centered place, grounded state of samadhi, blissful sense. So Hinayana is very much focused on that, and Mahayana, which is Bodhisattva, is to point that the monks, even me, you too, doesn't have to be monk, can have the aha and major awakening. But one of the sayings from Vimalakirti Sutra is, people suffer, therefore I suffer. So you don't just stay here. Work with the people. So when the Buddha had enlightenment, he didn't just stay there. That's what I found, that he can stay in that absolute state of being, ultra samadhi, samma samadhi, or whatever the term, the very, very state of the absolute level of being. And he is fond of spending time. So when you read the sutra, that's what he is always sitting. But when he comes out, he talks with people. Maybe I just don't just sit here, but that's what he thought. This is too difficult to explain, so he just want to sit. But then the story goes that please help people. So he goes out and he comes back here and back and forth. And what I see myself doing is, I'm not like that, but I'm here and I'm going back and forth. And I can feel this absolute state of being. That's what I said, the transparency, emptiness. And I can spend more time, and I can write. I've been writing something, so I may put something in the description that if you're interested, to take a look at it. There are lots of stories in the world that I see the connection. If you look at this picture, as I explained, so different religions, different philosophers play with this and that. But if you look at the holistic picture of how we see in terms of a level of consciousness and the shifting of the consciousness moving, that's the way I see it happening. And I have a control, because when I get too much away from the absolute state of being but into the brain and this and that, I go back and forth. And if you go with the brains that, and instead of me like a Buddha sitting and mellowing out, maybe that's not the right way to say it, but in the nirvanic state, bliss, as I said, Vimal Kilda's straw, I believed in it. People suffer, therefore I suffer. That's what I trained myself, that I want to be in that state. And it's suffering. That's why 3 days ago or so, I started to get to the point of this is too much. It's too much beyond my way of do anything. So I was moving down to reduce my posting on the YouTube and figuring out this balancing act. Like I use the word middle way. And then I get here and then I see it. I can feel it. So when I was starting to talk in this video about this whole thing, I was talking about here. But now, since I explained the level of up and down and how it can be navigated, and if you see that navigation with the sense of monitoring of level of samadhi, that's the key. And that is a clarity. Then you see things better. And you become non-dual state, absolute state of being. Let me know if you have any question. I'll be happy to, because this is, to me, is really interesting, critical way that I could summarize. We'll see how it goes, but that's what I see.